Chapter 26, Section 4. The world had to figure out how it was going to respond to fascism. In 1933, us and the Soviets actually started to get along a little bit. The Soviet Union was worried about the Japanese building up in Manchuria, which was right along the Soviet Union there. In 1936, the fascist powers are going to formally tie themselves together. Germany and Italy are going to form the Axis powers, and they will be joined later by Japan. Now, we talked about how Germany, Hitler, had asked Czechoslovakia for the Sudetenland. Czechoslovakia had said no. And so that's going to bring us to the Munich Conference. September 1938, in Munich, Germany, European leaders are going to get together to try to solve this conflict over the Sudetenland. The leaders that are going to be present there to make this decision is going to be Adolf Hitler from Germany, Benito Mussolini from Italy, Neville Chamberlain from Great Britain, and Edouard Daladier from France. And they're going to get together to try to figure out, should Germany be given the Sudetenland or not. By the way, Czechoslovakia and its ally, the Soviet Union, are not invited to the Munich Conference. As a result of this conference, a pact is going to be signed to give the Sudetenland to Germany. Basically, the bottom line is France and Britain weren't willing to go to war, especially over the Sudetenland. And they could make the argument, well, the people there were German anyway, so I guess it makes sense that they belong to Germany. This is the idea of appeasement. Giving in to the demands of an aggressor to maintain peace. Now, a number of people thought all Hitler's trying to do is undo the Treaty of Versailles. That's as far as he'll go. Plus, at the Munich Conference, Hitler promised that he would not seek any more territory. This was it. So they had the word of Hitler. But you had others that feared that all appeasement was going to do was encourage Hitler to take more. Now we're sitting here watching all of this, and in the 1930s, we are going to pass a number of neutrality laws, showing our desire to maintain peace. For example, we would not ship any weapons to nations at war. We would trade other goods to nations at war, but they had to come and transport them on their own ships. We were not going to get our ships sunk. And Americans were going to be forbidden to travel on ships of nations at war. Remember, at the beginning of World War I, we had Americans traveling on British ships being sunk by Germany. And there was a lot of pressure on the U.S. What are we going to do about it? Americans are being killed. So again, lessons we learned from the beginning of World War I, we're applying them here. We're not going to be drug into somebody else's problem. December 1937, a U.S. boat in China is going to be sunk by Japan. And Americans are going to be killed in this attack. Now, normally you would expect Americans to say, Japan needs to pay. But in this case, U.S. citizens basically said, well, maybe we just shouldn't be over there at all. That way, we don't get drug into these types of things. In 1939, public opinion is going to begin to change. In March of 39, Hitler takes over the rest of Czechoslovakia. This is going to be different from Hitler's other takeovers. Czechoslovakia was not a German-speaking state. So there was no argument of these people were German or they used to belong to Germany. It wasn't. And plus, Hitler had promised not to do this. It was now becoming clear. His goal was to dominate Europe. In April of 39, Italy invades Albania. And Hitler wants Danzig. Remember what Danzig was? Okay, not that Danzig. This Danzig, the League of Nations city in Poland, established at the end, the city wasn't established. It was established as a free city at the end of World War I. This was a port to be used by Poland. And Hitler wants Danzig. Poland says, no, we're not giving you Danzig. Britain and France are going to pledge to protect Polish independence. Britain and France realize that if they could get help from the Soviet Union, that should be enough to stop Hitler. Well, Stalin basically says, well, if you want us to protect Soviet Union, we need to have some bases in Poland. Or if you want us to protect Poland, we need to have bases in Poland. We had to be ready for a German attack. But the thing is this, Poland had only been free from Russia for 100 years. The last thing they wanted was Soviet troops on their soil. They had fought for years to get rid of them, and now they don't want them back. What happens next surprises everybody. August 23rd, 1939. Stalin signs a pact of friendship and non-aggression with Hitler. It's the Nazi-Soviet Pact. And Stalin agrees not to interfere with Hitler's invasion of Poland, and in return, the Soviet Union would receive half of Poland. September 1st, 1939, German troops march into Poland. German planes, the Luftwaffe, bomb the railroads and the cities. And as promised, September 3rd, 1939, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Europe was now divided. On one hand, you had the Allied powers of Britain and France. And on the other hand, in Europe, you had the Axis powers of Germany and Italy. When Hitler attacked Poland, he is going to use a new style of warfare when he attacks. Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. And it's going to be made up of these quick, massive attacks by land and in air designed to just completely overwhelm the enemy. The Soviet Union is going to be moving into Poland from the east. Poland doesn't stand a chance. September 27th, 1939, Warsaw, the capital of Poland, surrenders. Stalin now wants bases that have access to the Baltic Sea. All the way up there to the north, Stalin does have access to the sea. But if he could have access to the Baltic Sea, that would be less frozen water and it would be quicker than going all the way around those Scandinavian countries. Soviet Union is going to occupy Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. And Stalin demands that Finland let them have bases there. Finland says no, so the Soviets attack it. And the Finnish resist, snowy land, they resist on skis, but they don't stand a chance against the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, the United States is sitting back and seeing all of this. And Roosevelt is going to urge Congress to amend the Neutrality Act. Remember, the Neutrality Act had said we will not trade military goods to military goods to countries that are at war. Congress does decide to allow the sale of military supplies to any country, but you had to come get them on your own ships. It's election time. The Democrats are going to nominate Franklin Roosevelt, who's going to be running for an unprecedented third term. The Republicans are going to nominate Wendell Willkie. Both promise to keep us out of this war. Roosevelt wins. But Roosevelt realizes us getting involved militarily in Europe is probably going to be unavoidable, although he'll do what he can to keep us out of it.